Breaking news, y'all. As I was making the video, I was scrolling. Breaking news, y'all. Go ahead and get ready to screenshot. Go ahead and get ready to screen record, because you know when information like this come out, they're gonna try to erase it. Y'all brace yourself. They saying Nolan Wells, there's a picture with Nolan Wells on the boat with Bart. Bart said he wasn't there. He was in Wyoming some damn where. I'm telling y'all, it's starting to unfold. The Most High is starting to move on this case. Y'all check this out. This is breaking news, y'all. This wasn't even a part of the video.
Hey, y'all, hey, I just got back in and bombshell. Why we have a photo of Nolan with Bart and a large group of people. And I'm just going to show you real quick because I have questions. Hold on, let's look.
All right, let's examine this, y'all. Let's examine this right here.
The first thing you see is not an answer. It's a claim. The clip shows what looks like a photo of Nolan Wells standing with Bart and a bigger group before they ever left for the island. But listen closely to how it's worded. This is a commentator telling you about a picture. It is not something investigators have independently confirmed. So treat it like a lead, not a fact. If the photo is real, the questions are simple. When was it taken? Who took it? Where were they standing? And who in that picture can actually be identified without guessing? Those details decide whether this image changes the whole day or just shows a moment people have misunderstood. And that difference matters because the rest of the footage keeps adding more people and more places.
These people share the same reflection. And what happens is, if they were to give him a new trial and reduce his sentence, or maybe put him on probation or something like that, what they think is that more black people are going to try to recreate what had happened and do unaliving. So I believe it comes from a standpoint of being afraid of the optics of that.
Talking about the alleged Tristan fight on the Horns Island on the sand, and it was alleged by a witness. I'm going to let you listen to the video again, where she is describing that she believed that it was like MMA guys, because it was kind of like that kind of fighting. And so she was saying that as soon as the fight was over or what have you, she said that she witnessed that Nolan was involved in that as well.
They thought they were MMA guys. So that was his exact words, and he was an eyewitness. He said that they left in a hurry.
The MMA guys left in a hurry?
They left in a hurry after the altercation.
Now the story jumps to an alleged fight on Horn Island. The version we're hearing comes from a witness. That makes it worth looking at. It does not make every detail automatically true. The real question here is movement. Who was actually there? Who walked away? Which boat did they get on? And what time did all of that happen? If those pieces can be rebuilt from records, photos, phone data, boat logs, or matching first-hand accounts, the timeline gets a lot clearer. Until then, we keep the line straight. This is what a witness said. It is not yet what investigators have proven.
At that time, that's when Warren said that he was calling his mom, and he had to continuously call her 8 times. He's calling her because he needs help. Then whoever took off in the Palm Beach, because remember, Warren also said on Horn Island that the Palm Beach had left.
Well, I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with to get on the boat with Wyatt, because we were.
So who was driving the Palm Beach? Because it wasn't Wyatt, because Wyatt was on the CTO call because he was the alleged. Well, you know. Was it really Warren that was on the Palm Beach? Was it really Warren driving the Palm Beach? I know that Warren was also on the CTO call, but could he have caught up to them?
The next clip creates a second timeline problem. Warren's calls to his mom get mixed in with questions about the Palm Beach and the Triton. Several people on several boats are being followed at the same time, so the details have to be exact. Asking who was driving a boat is not the same as proving who was driving it. The only way to settle that is with hard records or independent accounts that put each person in a specific place at a specific minute. Until those sources get lined up next to each other, the boat movements stay an open part of the reconstruction.
In addition to the Nolan Wells case, you will see that the media coverage is already starting to die down. His birthday was this week, and as I thought about his birthday, my worst fear really is that all the people that were involved in his disappearance, in his demise, will just go on to have normal lives. that these men will go on to be doctors and lawyers and senators, maybe even a president one day. And then one day they'll just wake up 50, 60 years later on their deathbed and decide that they want to tell the truth. Or his girlfriend might wake up 50, 60, 70 years later when she's in her 80s and 90s on her deathbed and decide that she wants to come forth and tell the full story about what happened to Nolan Wells. And by then, it'll be too late. It'll be too late. His parents would have already had to live that long without him. Most people would already not even know what the case was about at that point. Tell the truth now when it matters.
This clip raises a different kind of problem. What happens when the public starts to lose interest while the case is still unfinished? That worry makes sense, but the most useful thing anyone can add right now is something that can actually be checked. A witness doesn't need a theory. A timestamp, a photo, a text, a location, or one clear first-hand observation is worth more than another opinion. That's especially true here, because the online conversation already has layers of interpretation stacked on top of each other. The job is not to decide who looks suspicious. The job is to figure out which pieces of the day can actually be nailed down. If you want updates built around primary evidence instead of internet theories, subscribe. We'll keep following what can be verified as it comes in.
Y'all, as I was making the video, I was scrolling. Breaking news, y'all. Go ahead and get ready to screenshot. Go ahead and get ready to screen record, because you know when information like this come out, they gonna try to erase it. Y'all brace yourself. They saying Nolan Wells, there's a picture with Nolan Wells on the boat with Bart. Bart said he wasn't there, he was in Wyoming some damn where. I'm telling y'all, it's starting to unfold. The Most High is starting to move on this case. Y'all check this out. This is breaking news, y'all. This wasn't even a part of the video.
Hey, y'all, hey, I just got back in and bombshell. Why we have a photo of Nolan with Bart and a large group of people. And I'm just going to show you real quick because I have questions. Hold on, let's look.
All right, let's examine this, y'all. Let's examine this right here. This is breaking news. That must be Bart right there. What in the world is going on? A large group of friends, including Nolan Xavier Wells, traveled on 3 boats to Horn Island on July 4th. Pictured here is the large group of friends getting ready to get on the boats to head to the island submitted. All right, y'all. Okay, this being though that this just came out, I'm going to need more information, but y'all know how I like to give it up. I like to give y'all everything that's out there, and then we'll just dissect everything later on. But I had to hit y'all with this. Let's just see what Rose.
Now we come back to that photograph. The footage says a large group of friends, including Nolan, were getting ready to go to Horn Island, and it treats the picture like it's suddenly a big deal. It might be, but before we give it that kind of weight, we have to know where it came from. Who handed it over? Is it an original photo or a still pulled from a video? What's the exact date and the exact spot? Can every person in it be identified by someone who isn't guessing? Those aren't picky questions. They decide what the picture can actually prove. Right now, treat it as potentially important. Do not treat it as proof of any one theory.
Just see what Royalty's talking about right quick.
Now, I have questions because from what the last thing that I heard per Warren, that Nolan was on leaving and went out to Horns Island on the Triton with Wyatt. That's what Warren said. And then how can the video that I just shared with you guys this morning,
Okay.
how could that be Nolan in the video when Nolan is on another dock with Bart getting ready to head out there to Horns Island? Y'all, what is going on? And then Warren, I'm so confused because how are you saying that how is that your friend? How is that your best friend, your brother from Hi, and you're nowhere in the picture? What's really going on?
The next clip makes the contradiction obvious. One version of the day has Nolan leaving on the Triton with Wyatt. The new picture is being read as Nolan standing with Bart at a completely different departure point. There are a few ways that could happen. The photo might have been taken earlier. The group might have switched boats. Nolan might have been at more than one launch spot, or the picture is simply being read wrong. The material we have does not let us pick one of those explanations, so the contradiction is worth digging into. The explanation is still unproven.
Anybody go crazy, we gonna sit down because I know people get confused between the Warren and the Wyatt. Which one is it? Which one is the Triton? Which one is the Palm Beach? Which one is the Triton? I'ma start writing this stuff down so we don't be confused, and we gotta start memorizing this stuff because it's all confusing.
Oh my God, guys, I just came to realization. No wonder no witnesses have came out. They're afraid. If you listen to this governor, he came out and threatened Nancy Grace and says, I hope to God nobody gets hurt because of your propaganda. Threatening her, like verbally threatening Nancy Grace. The governor of Mississippi. No wonder. This makes sense why nobody's coming out. No witnesses. They're afraid.
Imagine you growing up in Mississippi and you hearing all the stories.
The conversation now leaves the physical evidence and starts talking about witnesses being afraid. The clip ties that idea to comments attributed to a public official and suggests people may not want to talk. That's an allegation about why people are quiet. The clip itself does not prove it. To confirm it, investigators would need actual evidence that witnesses were threatened, that they refused to cooperate because of pressure, or that they reported being intimidated in connection with this case. Without that, the careful takeaway is smaller. There are online claims about fear. This material does not establish that fear is the reason people haven't come forward.
And another angle of the Triton boat, y'all. Check this out.
Major fucking update in the Nolan Wells case. Y'all look, it's in the photo. Restaurant girl, we don't even care anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th person? He can't be sitting in the chair because that's allegedly Wyatt on the phone call with Cito. See the dark hair, glasses. Right here you can see the stripes going on the side of the short. Blue above and bottom. Just like seen right here. But where the fuck is he? Dude in the red shorts allegedly was not on the boat. Where the fuck is he at? He should be right here. And then if he was right there, you'd be able to see him in this area. As you can see the pole right there. Be able to see him in this area or on the other side. In this area or on the other side. Even right here, you'd still be able to see a piece of his body. Major
So
fucking update.
Brandon Tatum did say that there was an extension of the video and he chopped it off because he was trying to protect the identity of someone else. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this clip right here.
Here the focus goes back to the Triton photo. The footage counts the people you can see and asks where another person would be if that person was supposed to be on the boat. That's a fair question to ask. But someone missing from a single frame does not automatically mean they weren't on the boat. Camera angle, where people were sitting, things blocking the view, how the image was cropped, and whether this is just one still from a longer video all matter. The next useful step is not more guessing about the frame, it's getting the complete original footage if it exists. A few extra seconds of video could answer a question a single still cannot. If this evidence-first approach is helpful to you, subscribe. When new material shows up, we'll keep separating what the footage actually shows from what people think it shows.
Me about this Nolan Wells case is the fact that they thought that Nolan Wells' parents would just accept the fact that they said, oh, it was a drowning, and that's it. So if it was a drowning, before he started drowning, he gave y'all his keys and phone. He went for a swim, but yet they found him fully clothed, face down. That don't even make sense. And the fact that y'all not even trying to tell his mom what happened, because y'all know what happened. And that Cito call, oh man, I know they mad that whoever released that call. And then for a black woman to dissect the call and be able to hear the background noise and release it to the internet, oh, they big mad. Then these comments just lying, just making up stuff. No, it was just a drowning. It was just a drowning. Oh, okay. So if it was your son, you would accept the fact that it was it was drowning, and his friends had his phone and they just chilling, relaxing like nothing happened to that lady's son.
This clip piles several different issues into one place. The reported explanation of what happened, questions about Nolan's belongings, and a released phone call. Those need to stay in their own lanes. A reported cause of death does not automatically reconstruct everything that happened before it. How personal items were handled can raise questions, but it does not by itself prove motive or blame, and audio has its own rules. A recording has to be authenticated. You have to know where it came from. Any enhancement or interpretation has to be clearly separated from the original sound. What a listener thinks they hear is not the same as what an expert can demonstrate. That's why the phone call can be relevant without automatically proving the conclusions people are drawing from it.
I want to see if we can get some more information on that picture that they said that Nolan Wells was with Bart on the boat with. Check this out.
Secret Service Sam here for a Nolan Xavier Wells update, and we have a new picture that has emerged. It is a whole group of people on the 4th of July getting onto what is believed to be Fart Jr.'s boat. But you know who's missing? Warren. Warren's missing because that's kind of weird. Maybe it's just me. Maybe a little birdie told me this. Yep, that little birdie of mine says that in Officer Race Tatum's podcast, if you can call it a shitcast, that Warren said he went out on his buddy's boat. And I thought that meant Fart Jr.'s boat, but we don't see Warren here in this picture in my Nancy Grace voice. So what is going on? I am not seeing a horse dragging this cart. Is he inside? Getting White Claws? Chilled out? I don't know, bro.
So that picture is something that we may have to wait for a video to come out, because I don't know why in the previous video they stated that Nolan Wells was on the boat with Bart. So hopefully there's a video attached to it. In some cases it usually is a video, because I don't know anybody who's just walking around snapping shots. That may be a screenshot of a video, yo. But I did see.
By now the photograph has stopped being a breaking news image and started being a test of the timeline. The questions are tighter. Can the picture be dated? Can the location be locked down? Can the people in it be identified? And does it actually fit with the other accounts of that day? The discussion also notes that Warren isn't in the frame. Again, not showing up in one photograph does not tell you where someone was at that exact minute. If this picture came from a longer video, the footage around it may be far more useful than the isolated screenshot. The original file, not the version floating around online, is potentially the most important piece here.
Video earlier that was posted by someone named Sid Thomas Jr. He played in the NFL, and he did a small documentary style video on Brandon Tatum, and he deep dives into the psychological aspect of Brandon Tatum and his thought patterns, and y'all ain't gonna believe how deep the rabbit hole goes. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to the video so y'all can watch it in full, but check this out, Joe.
The most dangerous moment in a man's life is when he loses the thing that told him who he was. I've been thinking about that ever since I saw this clip of D.O. Hughley responding to Officer Tatum's perspective on the Nolan Wells case.
When you're a black man, they make you hold the shit you used to be, so it holds weight now. He was a football player and failed at that, found his way into police work. He's always looking for the same adulates and same cheers he used to get on the football field. And usually them came from white coaches. He's only doing what he's been trained to do.
You get you one of these Trump 2.0 shirts right now.
Only reason people on the right fuck with black people is if they safe. He looks like the kind of man that would have to marry a white woman.
And what he said is facts, and I can say that because I lived it. I understand Brandon and what he's doing.
I'm getting sick of black people, right? I like the black people like me and others that are conservative, that smart, but the rest of y'all, I'm sick of y'all.
We were both faced with the same question that changed our lives. And looking at where his answer took him made me realize there was one question I asked myself that sent us on two completely different routes. So I was a captain at the University of Minnesota. I declared for the 2015 NFL draft, and I was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and I was the 150th overall pick. I was on practice squad my entire rookie year, and at the end, I decided to go to the New England Patriots for my second year. And then I was released after not playing well against the Chicago Bears, and it was legitimately one of the hardest days of my life. I loved being in New England. I wanted to be on that team so bad, but it just didn't happen. I didn't play well, and it just wasn't I just didn't play well. And that was the first time I was hit with, damn, football can really end for me. this whole thing can be over. And it was tough because that was my whole identity. That's how everybody knew me from being a little boy all the way until I was 23, 24 years old, and even still now to this day. So if you're not familiar with Brandon Tatum, he's a black conservative political commentator on YouTube. He's from Fort Worth, Texas, and went to Dunbar High School and was a legit prospect. He was an All-American and played in the U.S. Army All-American game, which is the top 78 high school players in the whole country. He then got a scholarship to the University of Arizona, where he played for 5 years. He declared for the 2010 NFL draft, only to not get drafted and not get picked up by a team. And that's where his football career ended. It was all over after the University of Arizona. So Brandon in 2010 and me in 2016 were sitting in the same place facing the same exact identity issues that brings up the question that changed our lives. After football, Brandon decided to be a cop in Tucson, Arizona. And from everything I found, he was good at what he did when he was a cop. He was a SWAT operator, a field training officer, a general instructor, and public information officer. He was on the force from 2011 to 2017, which is an interesting time because he went through Ferguson, Eric Garner, and Freddie Gray. All happened while he was there wearing that badge. Then in March 2016, Trump comes to Tucson for a rally. Tatum goes to the rally as a civilian. He doesn't go as a cop, and he posts about a 10-minute video about it.
What's going on Facebook? It's B Tatum. I'm making this video to give you guys some insight on my experience at a Donald Trump rally.
And that video gets about 1 million views, and even Trump campaign's Facebook page shares it. This is where I think he got his first hit of dope after football. And what I mean by dope, I mean dopamine. For an athlete, that's the drug. The cheers he heard came back instantly, and in some ways, I would say that this is more addictive.
I want y'all to think about the movie Him with Marlon Wayans.
Because when you leave the tunnel and you leave the field, you don't hear your name being screamed anymore. But on social media, you can constantly refresh it over and over, and you see the comments and the likes and the DMs from these people who are cheering for you, who want you to win. Then on September 24th, 2017, he posted a 7-minute video about NFL players kneeling. 2 days after the president stood on the stage in Alabama and said owners should get those players off the field.
He's gonna say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired.
That video does 70 million views. And of course it did. A black man, a former football player, a working police officer, taking the other side against a black quarterback. That was the exact voice a whole lot of people were looking for and couldn't do themselves. 1 month after that video, October 2017, he resigns from the police department. From there, he signs with Liftable Media, which runs the Western Journal and the Conservative Tribune. Turning Point USA hires him at the end of March of 2018 as Director of Urban Engagement. Then he does Blexit with Candace Owens, and then by late 2019, he's out on his own with his own media company, where now he's amassed over north of 8 million followers. He got an alley-oop from everybody. And look, I'm not saying he didn't earn anything. Nothing about his story says that he's lazy or he doesn't work hard. But the work isn't the part that stuck with me. It's the lane that he chose. When this stuff shows up in my feed, it's almost always a story about black people, and it's almost always the worst version of it. That became the job. He's the guy who says the thing about black folks that a certain crowd can't say out loud themselves. That's what I couldn't get past. And the more I looked at how he got there, the more I realized I know exactly where it started.
The footage now shifts into a documentary about Brandon Tatum's background, his career change, and the creator's take on his public image. That belongs in a different pile. It's commentary about a person who has commented on the case. It is not primary evidence about Nolan Wells. The documentary may contain biographical facts that can be checked on their own. Its conclusions about motivation and psychology are the creator's interpretation. That distinction matters, because investigative stories get warped when one commentator's opinion gets repeated by another commentator until it starts sounding like a settled fact. For this case, the useful question is much smaller. What evidence has actually been shown about Nolan? Where did it come from? And can the original material be independently checked? That brings us back to primary sources.
Where it started, because it started in the same place for me. When football ended, I didn't know it yet, but I was about to choose my whole life with one question. I did not ask, what do I like doing? I asked myself, what did I like doing? What do I like doing isn't a bad question. It's just the wrong question at that specific moment when you're transitioning, trying to figure out who you are. Because when you ask, what do I like doing? You're looking outwardly and you're looking to figure out what do you like doing and grasping on the things that you think are just for you. And when you ask, what do I like doing? It automatically makes you do that. It makes you look outward. What did I like doing is the right question, because it makes you look internally. It makes you think about who you were before somebody told you who you are, before the number that they gave you.
So the link will be in the description for that breakdown. And what he goes into is that if you're doing this for the wrong reasons, you're gonna lose yourself behind it. Where you initially started from and you had a love for something, but you don't continue as that, you're gonna lose yourself along with your morals and your purpose and your integrity. So to break it all down, he's saying that Brandon Tatum is doing what he's doing for money. He's doing it for the dopamine rush, because that's what athletes like. They like that rush of the notoriety and being known and people screaming your name. And being as though that Brandon Tatum had left football, left being a police officer, he held on to anything that involves people cheering his name. Even though his own community is not cheering his name, there is a side that he's speaking up for that's cheering his name. We need you, Brandon. We'll give you all the views, all the likes, everything you need. All you do is have to speak and say the things that we can't come out and say. And now y'all see where the mindset of Brandon Tatum is. Shout out to this brother for breaking down Brandon Tatum. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel. Y'all make sure y'all watch that video.
The last part of that secondary documentary keeps going on identity, career change, and the creator's personal reading of it. Again, this is context. It is not proof of what happened to Nolan. The bigger lesson is source hierarchy. A commentator can interpret another commentator. A documentary maker can interpret a public figure. Viewers can then interpret the documentary. With every extra layer, there's another chance for an assumption to drift away from its original source. For the Nolan Wells case, the strongest evidence stays closest to the event itself. Original photographs, complete videos, authenticated records, official statements, medical findings, messages sent at the time, and first-hand testimony that can be corroborated. Everything else should be labeled as commentary or context. Subscribe for future verified updates. New evidence can change a timeline. Only careful examination can tell us what that evidence actually means.
Video in full, because it gets way deeper than that. But y'all get in the comment section. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Carmelo Anthony, and let me know what y'all think about these new photos. Do y'all think that it's a video attached that shows Nolan with Fart? Is Fart, because remember, Fart said he was in Wyoming somewhere in the beginning. So now all of a sudden you lowering up and you was around and you got the string from your boat to his boat, and now things are starting to look like an alibi. But y'all get in the comment section. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the video.
The surviving footage ends by coming back to the photograph and asking whether more video could explain the apparent contradictions. That's where the investigation should stay. If the photograph is authentic, its origin and metadata may help lock down when and where it was taken. If a longer video exists, it should be watched in full, not through isolated screenshots. If witness accounts don't match, they should be lined up against objective records. And if investigators have reached an official conclusion, that conclusion should be shown next to the evidence that supports it, and next to the issues that are still in dispute. The responsible takeaway is not that the photograph solves the case, it's that the photograph raises questions that better primary evidence may actually be able to answer.